Hey, well, welcome to the Now and Then podcast. Today, our guest is Abby Anderson from Salon Stage in downtown Kennewick. Welcome, Abby. It's great to have you here.
Thank you. It's exciting to be here.
Yeah. Abby and I knew each other for quite a while. She used to come into the wine tasting room where I worked after a tough day in the salon and have a glass of wine, and we'd sit there and chat and chat away. It was always a highlight of my day when Abby came in.
I know I miss having a wine tasting place next to the salon. It was very
I
convenient.
know. That was pretty sweet, wasn't it?
That
Yeah.
was pretty sweet.
Okay, well, let's go ahead and get started with this then. Um, I guess the first thing I need to know is if you could tell us a little bit about your background. What led you to becoming a stylist? And was there an aha moment when you knew you were meant to be a stylist?
Sure. I've been doing hair now for 22, 3 years. I actually didn't know I wanted to become a hairdresser, but I hated high school. And so it was an opportunity for me to be able to go off campus and go to beauty school instead of being stuck at high school. So I actually started beauty school my junior year of high school and graduated when I graduated high school, and it just kind of worked out. I got into it and fell in love with it and haven't looked back since.
Well, it's great that you got a jump start on it, that you knew what you wanted to do so early.
I know
Uh,
I felt lucky because I didn't think I was going to do it. I thought, maybe I'll do this while I go to college or something. But then
right.
I just rolled with it, and it's been great.
Yeah, well, you're obviously really good at it. You've been doing it long enough, and I know you have a great clientele. Everybody who has used you just loves you to death, I'm sure.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm very fortunate. That's for sure.
yeah. So I know you worked at other salons now, and now you're the co-owner at Stage, right?
Yeah. Uh huh.
Okay. So how has the culture or the environment of your salon evolved over the years?
So, when I was a new hairdresser, I thought it was very important to be very technically sound. And as I've gotten older and had a lot more experience working with different stylists, I actually think that building a culture that's a friendly environment where women can be supported and feel uplifted is more important than doing the perfect bob, because those are skills that can be taught, whereas personality is a little bit harder. And so we want to create a culture where all of us who work there feel welcome and understood and supported. And I think that that helps bleed over into the client, where the clients come in and they feel welcome and they feel good when they leave, as opposed to having maybe more of a toxic work environment. And then we can work on doing a killer bob or a killer color. That part's easy.
Sure, sure. So it's a lot about community for you then. Um,
Absolutely. Absolutely. And women supporting women, I think it's a huge thing. I think in our industry, it's a really easy job to be able to kind of come and go. But if you put the work in, then the money follows. And I want to be able to support those women so they can be successful on their own, just like I have been.
right, right. And it all comes back in the end too. What
Ab-
goes around comes around.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, good. That's good to hear. And speaking about technological advancements, that leads right into the next question. Although you're saying that it's actually the social skills, the people skills that may be more important at this point. I'm sure there are some new technological advances that have had a significant impact on your work.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, from where I started before, we used to just throw some bleach on the hair, hope for the best, never toned anyone. Everybody would leave with this like bad surfer yellow hair. And now we've taken a lot of classes and done a lot of education where we understand how the product works better and we're not frying everybody's hair when they leave. And we can create these beautiful, seamless colors with the technology that's been created. Whereas before, we didn't have a lot of options. It was just kind of like, this is what you do because that's all we have.
Right, right. Well, I noticed that's one of the changes I've seen in the last 10 or 15 years is a color. It used to be you could be a blonde, a brunette, or a redhead.
Yeah,
And now you can pretty much be anything you want,
I know my hair changes by the month.
Yeah, yeah. Well, my daughters do too. Claire gets the different shade of red every time, and then Kelsey had a blue for a while, and then a light silver blue for a while, and I think that's just the coolest thing ever that you have so many more choices these days.
I think so too. And I think it's nice too where society is more accepting of it. Whereas before, when I went to high school, we couldn't even have unnatural hair colors going to high school. And now it's kind of like you can just kind of be whoever you want to be. And I think it's great that we have those options.
Right. And I remember initially when the different colors were coming out, they were always very vibrant. Now there seem to be a lot more subtle shades, which works better for me, but
And I think too, like when somebody has a professional job and it's something they want to play with, there's a way to kind of add it to the hair where it's not so in your face, but it's still fun for the client, which
Right,
that's all
right.
that technology is new.
Yeah. Well, great. That I'm really impressed with the way stuff has happened like that, that it doesn't have to be in your face anymore. It can be a personal statement without being obnoxious,
Right, right. I mean, I love me
Yeah.
like some good punk rock, but yeah, we're all not walking around
Mhm.
with like bright green mohawks anymore.
Right, right, right. Some of us still have to work in the corporate
Yes,
environment,
thank God I don't.
Yeah, me too. Okay. Well, in that same vein, do you have any personal anecdotes that could provide a vivid picture of the changes in the industry and client expectations?
I think the expectations have actually gotten worse. As in like the expectations are quite a bit higher because when I started, we didn't have social media. And so when I was building my clientele, it was based on 100% referral base or the random phone call that you would answer and try and sucker somebody into sitting in your chair. And while I think social media is amazing and it's such a good tool, it's free marketing, it promotes certain platforms, like it can make your business hugely successful. I also think as a client, because we are professionals and we kind of know the nuances of what goes into achieving certain looks. Well, when somebody brings in a picture off Instagram or Pinterest and they're like, "Well, my hair looks like crap and I want to be this gorgeous blonde," you know, breakdown of that for the client is hard to understand because there's so much science that goes into the work that we do. And so, on one hand, it's nice because you get a visual representation. But on the other hand, everybody's expecting to walk out paying $200 to look like a supermodel, which is not
Right,
also a real expectation,
right, right.
especially
Yeah.
when you don't look like a supermodel, even with the best hair. So,
Right, right, and even the supermodels have full-time stylists that they pay big bucks to as well,
oh yeah,
so
they don't even do their hair, and a lot of the hair that you see in Hollywood is synthetic hair. It's wigs or extensions, and so
Right,
there's only so
right,
much we can do with a budget that we're presented with.
right, right. So can you give us an example of that as someone who came in and had unrealistic expectations and how you handle that, or
Uh, yeah. So it's actually one of I've had a couple bad reviews in my career, but this girl, she was not very happy with me. And she actually wasn't my client, but I was. So how it works for our salon is, if there's a question, usually I'll get pulled into the back room to help consult with a color, help formulate, or help a client understand how things are going to work. And this girl came in and she had hair about down to bra strap length, thick, long, beautiful hair, but it was blonde and she needed a retouch done. And she had about like 2 inches of grow out. Her natural hair color is dark brown. Well, we could have done all those things, except she told us that her budget was $100.
Mhm.
So there's only so much we can do with $100 budget, working in those parameters. And so I showed her some options. I gave her some visual representation so she could, see kind of where we could get her with the $100. And she was not satisfied with that at all. And threw a humongous fit in the salon and kept trying to convince my coworker that she should really get this done because of X, Y, and Z, which was not a realistic expectation. So I will spare you the gory details and all the profanity, but she left the salon really mad
Oh
and
my gosh.
stormed out the door and left a bad review about the girl with the purple hair.
Yeah.
So that because we had a whole client or a whole salon full of clients and a couple of them had said, we noticed that one was going to be a problem when she walked in the door. But I think the bigger part was my coworker has a very hard time telling someone no. And no could be said in a very professional way, but
Hmm.
she was going to get taken advantage of. So it was going to end up costing her a lot of time and a lot of money to make this client happy. And at the end of the day, that was just not something we could do with $100.
Well, it sounds like this client certainly had unrealistic expectations, and
Well,
yeah, there's not
beyond.
much you can do in a case like that, except it's like I've fired clients before as well. Those are the clients you don't really want coming back anyway.
No, I
So,
think I think they end up costing you more money than it's worth anyway, because
yeah,
there's gonna
yeah.
always be a problem.
Yeah. Well, good for you. Yeah, it's sometimes you just have to say no, and sometimes it'd be nice to be able to say it nicely every time, but sometimes no is just no.
I mean, I feel like I was very professional, but I don't feel like the client thought that, I've that's the same way
Right.
I thought.
Well, yeah. How flexible can you be? I mean, you're a business. You're not a charity, so.
Yeah, I mean, we love our work and we love making people happy, but we also need to pay our bills just like everybody else.
Right. Right. Okay. So talking about personal goals. I'm just curious about how your personal goals and motivations have shifted throughout your career as a stylist.
So when I was younger, I was very focused on how booked I was. And, oh, I feel so accomplished if I can't, squeeze anyone in 2 weeks. And now my focus has shifted to the quality of my work being valued, and also taking time for myself and trying to have a little bit better work life balance, but still going into work refreshed, being my best self, as opposed to kind of having this badge of honor that I worked 14 days in a row, 12-hour days, and you can't get on my books for the next 4 weeks. But that for me has shifted. I feel like here for me now, before, when you're learning, because learning is a huge curve, like in every industry. And I've been doing this job for a long time, and so hair to me is more like an art form. It's very like nuanced, and I want to feel the flow, and I want to have great connections with people. And it's not about packing as many people into my schedule as humanly possible just to make a dollar. I really want to feel like I want to value my work. I want my clients to value my work, and that to me has become more of a priority than just being busy.
Yeah, and I think that's the case with a lot of people who've been in their careers for a while too. Initially we're all pressed for time and we want to do as much as we possibly can, and eventually we come around to the realization that it's really more about the people and
Absolutely.
about the work life balance as well. I mean, there's really not no price you can put on that. If you're spending too much time at work, no one ever died, Stan. I wish I would have spent more time at work,
I know,
right?
exactly. I think about that a lot because I have a hard time with work life balance, because I do love what I do, and I love the craft, and I have great clients. But on the other hand, you want to see your family occasionally.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So, what advice would you give to someone starting as a stylist today, based on your experience?
So I would tell the new people coming up, especially if they're about to enter beauty school. In my experience, this obviously isn't everyone's experience, but beauty school is hell on earth. It's awful. Sometimes the people are awful. Sometimes the training is awful. And if you can just get through it, on the other side, it's so much different and so much better than that experience. And there's so much more to learn. And then as a stylist, especially a new stylist, if you can find somewhere to intern at, like we do internships at the salon. We have a girl who just started right now. She's been licensed for about 2 years. But beauty school basically teaches you how to pass the state testing and how to make sure that your clients are safe. The state doesn't care if you do a bad haircut. They just want to make sure if you cut someone, you know what to do. And so getting into a place where the stylists are willing to answer your questions, are willing to help you if you need help with a haircut, are willing to just kind of like guide you, you're going to be much more successful a lot earlier in your career than how it was for me and a lot of other people, where we struggled doing bad hair for like 6, 7 years. And then one day got to a place where, like, oh, a salon required you to take some education. And then you finally got kind of decent. So it's just starting out early and realizing how important learning is and how we're all continuing to learn and grow, and that never changes.
Yeah, so I hear what you're saying there. It's with a lot of industries too. I mean, the formal training is one thing, but until you get right into it, into the thick of things, you're really not going to know what's
And
going on.
no, no.
Yeah, and if you can find a mentor or someone like that to help you with the hands-on stuff, the day-to-day activities of what it's like in the real world, that sounds like what you're saying is the probably some of the best part of the training at, at all.
Absolutely. I love education. It makes me feel so good when I have somebody who's training under me that nails a haircut or feels good about the work that they did that day. It makes like my cup filled, and it makes them fulfilled and gives them confidence to be able to kind of go that next step, which is exactly what I want.
Yeah, I mean that's that confidence goes a long way. A little bit of confidence, and the only way to get that is with some hands-on experience done working in a place that you feel comfortable being in as well, which probably is not beauty school.
No, it's not me. And I do think even like sometimes like in my behind the chair career, sometimes fake it till you make it does go a long way too.
Hmm. Yeah, in a lot of careers, that's the case, actually. Yeah. So, if you could just give a newbie just one piece of advice before starting out in the field, what would you tell them?
Be creative and be yourself. But I think uh newbies coming up, it's also very important to have good customer service skills and be professional. But I think it's great. Like you bring your 100% authentic self and you have some great customer service and you love your career and you're just going to kill it. And the people who love you will come follow you. And the people who don't, that's totally fine. Don't even stress about it. No, not one person is everybody's cup of tea.
That's right. Yeah, it's a lot of different faces out there doing a lot of different things.
There's a lot of hairdressers in town. There's like 600 salons.
Wow, that's more hairdressers, not quite as many as realtors, but
I know.
almost.
Probably kind of like into your industry too. You have like the like 2% of people make you most of the income.
Yeah.
So,
Oh yeah. Yeah,
but
for
if you put the
sure.
work in, you get it back.
That's right. Yeah, it's all about putting in the day-to-day effort and being authentic. I think that's one of the things that you really nailed right there. People know when you enjoy what you're doing.
Oh,
You really can't
absolutely.
fake that part, you know.
No, not yeah.
Okay,
Well, and
so
then you surround yourself with people who like you and you like them. Otherwise, like, otherwise you might be tortured with the client sitting in your chair if you can't be yourself.
yeah, or you might get pawned off on that gal who wanted everything for nothing, right? Well, one final question here is if you had it to do all over again, would you?
Absolutely, I would. There'd be a couple of things I would change. I would have gotten into a salon that promoted education a lot sooner than I did. Then I wouldn't have to like really mess up, 5 years worth of
Hmm.
clients' hair. But I love my career, and I feel like I've been a single mom, and I don't live by any family, so I've never had any help, and I've been able to take care of myself and take care of my kids, and I've never had to worry that way, and I'm able to be creative and be authentic and help other women do the same thing, and I would absolutely 1,000 lives over do it again.
No, good for you. That's good to hear because that's not the case with everyone. There are far
I'm
too many
so
people out
lucky.
there.
I mean,
Yeah,
I can have pink hair, I can be tattooed, you know? It was super
right.
cool.
And you can even create your own schedule to some degree, I suppose, as well. If you want to take a couple of weeks off, you just don't schedule anybody, right?
I don't have to ask anybody for time off. I can just if I've got to take time, then we just take time. It's
Yeah,
great.
well, good for you. Yeah, there's a lot to be said for being your own boss, at least to some degree.
Oh, no, no, I've been fired from every job where I wasn't my own. That's worked really well for me.
I hear you there. I've been a bad fit at a number of places
Yeah.
myself.
You have to, like, conform to your stupid work, like, dress code. This
Oh, okay. Well, thanks so much for your time here today, Abby. I've really enjoyed chatting with you.
Yeah, thank
Um,
you so much. This was so fun.
yeah, it's been a blast. I'll see you downtown.
Yeah, sounds like a plan.
Okay, enjoy the rest of your weekend.
Thanks, Dan. You too.
Okay, so